Next up, we have Jeremiah Huson, and he'll be presenting The Bleeding Edge.
Hi, you all. The Bleeding Edge, as you may, if you know me at all, I'm a blacksmith, and I do a lot of other things. I sharpen things. I can do anything you'd like. But I got into it because I started, shaving with a straight razor, and it was out of necessity, Nobody's going to sharpen one for me, so, here we go. For all you spinners, that's accelerated wheel. Out of necessity, and so some of the tools we've got going on here, this is a little more basic setup. You can't go down to the hardware store and get these, but, you can get something like that, and I don't talk to people much. We have, what these are is some slipstones are used to sharpen things that are different shapes other than flat or round. Those are mostly used in this is my fancy dancy, some of you have seen this. This is my fancy water wheel. You put water in the reservoir and you plug it in and turn it on, and instead of burning up like those guys were, this stays nice and cool. And this is the 1870s version. This is a foot-powered grinder from Miller's Falls in Greenfield, Mass., and I love it. It is my pride and joy. It sharpens axes wonderfully, scythes as well. Speaking of scythes, this is a scythe hammer. What happens there is you have your scythe. Scythes aren't ground in Europe, they're peened. So you take this scythe hammer and you have an anvil which is coming up, and you lay your edge of your scythe on this anvil on the top there, and you hit it repeatedly until it makes the edge nice and thin. And by making the edge thin, then you have a nice sharp edge. And the nice thing about that is you can do that in the field as well. Straight razor, not mine, but this, like I said, out of necessity, breeds, I spent 4 years learning how to do this, and I'm still not comfortable with it in some aspects. This is a very pointless knife. It's sharp, but pointless. And I made it pointless, but here we go. Now, this is a Stanley number 55, for all those who don't know. It has all its cutters, too. This is off the internet. I don't have one. I have one similar. But, so those slipstones, if you look at the cutters in the box up there, they're all different shapes. Instead of these are flat. You just use a regular bench stone, like those two water stones that I showed you first. And, you flatten the back, and once it's flat, then you start on the bevel. And the idea, you want to go to, 0. And you'll never get there, but, you get this nice burr. And when you've got a burr, you can put it on the strop, and which you haven't seen yet. And wow. Another interesting device. This is a predecessor to those pull stroke knife sharpeners that you have these days. You stick a bunch of knives in there and turn the crank. There's water in it. It sharpens it. Maybe. That is probably my least favorite thing. I bought it probably 8 years ago, thinking, oh great, it'll work wonderfully for sharpening chisels. I've used it once. In fact, I had to dig it out. That's my setup, usually. That's the basic setup. You got water. This is a strop. That's paste that goes on the strop. And those are diamond stones. They're steel plates impregnated with diamonds. And there's your basic hand position. It's a lot of repetitive motion. You have to learn how to feel, when you've got it too high or too low, and that takes time. And those are my 3 cherries chisels for woodworking. They're cutting joinery. Nice and sharp in the box. And now, the nice thing about sharpening is it's portable. This, right there, that gentleman is sharpening a saw. This is from Japan. This is Hokusai. This is from the 36 views of Mount Fuji. You can see Mount Fuji in the background there. And that chap right there is just having a good old time, isn't he? Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry.